Welcome back to the Gathering Place podcast, where I am your host, Joe Seaman, a real estate agent in Augusta, Georgia, and Aiken, South Carolina. This is my lovely co-host and bride, Miss Hope. She is chaos coordinator, and we deemed you the social media guru in an earlier episode.
Oh, Lord.
Because you just know all the stuff about social media. So
I wouldn't say I know all the stuff. I just have an interest in it. How about that?
yes.
That's where Jill of all trades come in.
Yes. So
Yes.
we are talking about, as I'm sure everyone has seen or heard
At this point, for
at
sure.
this point, hopefully, everyone is very well aware that we have recently changed brokerages to Real Broker and could not be more excited about
Yes.
the change that we have just experienced. Now, I will tell you, getting everything changed, Miss Chaos Coordinator is the one that absolutely made sure all of our licenses were changed, listings were changed, everything was changed over with the state and the boards and all that fun stuff, all the back office stuff that most people don't
Well, it was a community effort,
know,
but yes,
understand,
we
or
made
see.
sure.
So, but we are so excited, like just scratching the surface. At the time of this podcast, we will be with Real approximately 2 months.
Yeah.
And it is just unmatched. There is no other broker that I have talked to, especially like your brick and mortar brokers around town. They just can't even compare to Real and what is offered through technology and training and learning
And collaborative.
very collaborative and wealth building and stocks and extra streams of income. And it's
And
just
we're still
unmatched.
learning. Like, we
We're
haven't
still
even learned it
learning.
all.
Like I said, we've not even scratched the surface of it.
No.
But at the time of this recording, just last week, someone said, don't you wish you had done this sooner? And I'm like, yes, I wish I had done this years ago. But it's just timing is everything, and things happen when they're supposed to happen.
Well, and the irony is that, of course, if you paid attention to our last podcast, we are in our home away from home. And the idea kind of was set in motion. I mean, we'd thought about it, you thought about it, talked about it, but it really was set in motion while we were here.
Yes.
And so it's kind of, for me personally, it's like a full circle moment now, because I remember the last time we were having this conversation in the very beginning, there was that, I don't do change very well.
That was literally coming out of my mouth is Hope does not like change. I will change every week if I can. Like, I love changing colors. Drew's shaking his head like he changes a lot. So I change color, team colors and fonts, and I like that little bit of change. Video ideas or filming locations or scripts at the last minute change a lot. Now, things I don't change very much is my wife, the house we live in. We've been there 21 years, things like that. So,
Yeah.
But I love change. I love the challenge of change is what I think I love the most.
So for me, I don't mind change. I don't mind that things, you do have to always evolve into different areas of your life, because if you do the same thing all the time, it just eventually fades out. So I embrace change, but there's just some change, especially when it comes involved in your heart. And another thing about me is I'm very, what I'm trying to say, like, I get very emotionally involved in whatever situation is going on.
As to why we didn't move sooner.
Yes.
But go for it.
I mean, honestly, like, I've said that for years. It was nothing to do with we were unhappy with where we were at before. In fact, we were not unhappy. It just came down to money. Like,
and what is better for our family?
what's better for, honestly, like, that is where we're at.
Brokerages are set up all different kind of ways.
Yes.
There's a million different platforms as far as brokerage goes, as far as how you get paid as a real estate agent.
Yes.
And our brokerage our previous brokerage does not offer a capping style.
Platform,
So
yes.
once you pay in a certain amount of money, they take money all year long from all transactions. And it's a pretty hefty amount. And so, I wasn't looking for, and again, we weren't unhappy with it. However,
we
I was
were
just
not
looking
unhappy.
to retain more of the money that we worked so
Well,
hard for.
and let's also say that we did not operate like a traditional team either. We did a lot. Now, our former brokerage did offer a lot of different tools and tricks and different things for the average agent. Hold on,
Or for
the
the
average
new
agent,
agent.
for a new agent.
Yeah.
So, but we began, because Joe likes change all the time, we operated in our own way. So we had our own marketing team, we have our own listing team, we have our own, new home construction
And that
team.
was all very just lots of different
Yes.
facets as to why, I didn't like the things that our brokerage marketing team would put out. I'd have to send it back for re-editing 12
because
different
we
times.
were looking for a certain look, and so
Yes.
therefore it was better for us to hire someone
Mm-hmm.
to create that look for us, because we didn't want anyone to look just like us either. We, just as well as I do, any kind of business model you have, you're successful with how you treat your customers, what kind of position you leave them in, how you treat them through the process, and also what you offer them and how you stand out. Those are the ways that you take care of your clients. So for us, we always needed to be different. And so while I will say our former brokerage did offer those things, for us, it wasn't a good fit. We needed something a little bit more. So in the end, what it boiled down to was we already operate in our own way. And so we didn't see that value anymore. It wasn't that there was, again, I will reiterate, it wasn't that we were unhappy. It come down to what was best financially for our family. So making that choice was very hard, honestly, for me, because I do get very emotionally attached to people. Absolutely loved our former broker. Had felt moments over the years with those people. And so it was really hard for me going into it. I had a couple of weeks before he actually made the initial contact and said, this is what we're doing. Like, I can tell you, like, heart palpitations, nerves, because change is never good, especially when you, change is never easy. Change is never easy, not good. Change is never easy. And so, especially when you're that deeply involved with individuals or an organization. So we knew it was going to be uncomfortable. We knew it wasn't going to be easy, but we knew it was what was right for us. And so, in true former fashion, I always follow Joe's lead. So I do believe that I do know that he had prayed over this situation. He had a peace about this situation. And so for me, I was like, okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to do to help facilitate this, move forward? And that's kind of where we went. And so the decision was made, and Joe ripped the Band-Aid off.
And one thing I will say about me is once I decide on something, it's full steam ahead. And it's
full steam ahead.
Yes, it is full steam, and
it doesn't
I
matter
want it to happen quick.
It doesn't matter if you have all the parts together either. Joe is like, we're doing
Let's
this,
go.
we're doing this
So,
now. Well, again,
I mean, a fun little example is
I don't know if anything was fun.
we got engaged on February 10th of 2002, and we were married by March 31st. So it's quick.
Yeah.
So whenever I make that decision, like, I want it, and I want it to happen fairly quick. And so the same thing was with this brokerage change, and who I was going to align with. I talked to many, many, many different brokers and brokerages and different platforms as far as how brokerages were set up. And Real Broker just made the most sense to us. I felt the most connection. I see the most opportunity with Real, and it already surpasses everything that we were used to. And, it just is what it is. And yes, the decision was not hard for me to make whatsoever. It was a very simple,
yes,
easy decision for me to make.
I will say that. I would agree
It
with that.
was, I didn't want to hurt people on the way out, because I'm just not that type person. However, that wasn't returned back to me on the way out. It didn't really matter as far as like who wanted to hurt me on the way out, and still trying to hurt months later. And so I just feel like you should never want to stifle someone who is trying to do better for themselves and their family.
Absolutely.
You should actually want to toast champagne and help them move on to doing bigger and
After you
better
have a
things.
grieving period, everyone's allowed a grieving period, especially when we were all as close as
we thought we were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so with that being said, now again, we've had team members leave in the past. Like we know what that feels like. Especially when the closer you are, the harder it is. But making that, okay, take yourself out of that situation, your personal emotions out of that situation, and you say, I remember having multiple conversations. Like, I don't like your decision, but I understand your decision. So let's do the very best we can to make it as calm and peaceful as possible. The whole time, I'm quite literally dying inside, because sometimes things happen and separation happens, and it hits you right there on the heartstrings. So we knew that going into it. We knew it wasn't going to be easy. That's why I say we knew it wasn't going to be easy. We knew we needed to be very upfront and honest and not shady in any way, shape, or form. So long story short,
And we upheld that.
we did.
I mean,
We did.
even up until the day my license was moved, we literally put a contract in that day
yes.
before. And so it was like, we
This-
could have held that and just moved that new contract over to our new brokerage, but I didn't feel that was right.
No.
I didn't feel like, let's don't sandbag anything.
And we had people telling us.
We had people literally tell us to sandbag everything and
Yes.
wait, but we just didn't feel
We
that
didn't
was
feel
right.
that was the
You know,
right
I
thing
don't
to
think
do.
that that, in my opinion, did not have our clients.
No.
And the brokerage, I could care less about what the old brokerage thinks or does, but it did not have and show that our clients would have been at the forefront of what we do and how we try to protect them. And so that is why we didn't sandbag anything, is because our clients are always like first priority in our business, always.
Yeah. And so, I mean, again, it just goes back to, I do believe with my whole heart that one day that's going to come back around in our favor, because our hearts were pure in that. But all of that to say, we've learned a lot. And some things
Let's hold on that thought process,
Okay.
because this may be a two-parter.
okay.
Let's continue about since we made the announcement on social media and we let our people know, business has blown up. I mean, it has been.
Poor Sherry.
I thought Sherry was going to quit us last week because I think everyone on our team was throwing her either listings or contracts. A lot of our team, multiple contracts for different properties. And so all that came from, I don't say it all came from, but there was a big splash on social media. One local attorney told me that I ran into last week. He was like, y'all are the real estate talk of the town.
Good and bad.
Good and bad. But I think all that helped attribute to our phone just ringing off the hook over the last few weeks and couple months. I mean, we've done more in the last couple weeks since we've been with Real than we've done all year so far. And so it is.
Oh, I know. And I'm thankful for it. I'm very, very
thankful,
grateful
but,
for it. But I keep checking my blood pressure.
Everyone is very excited. And even though the new brokerage, it doesn't have the strong foothold that the old brokerage does in our local area, I'm here to tell you that we're here to make it be a strong and a common name.
Let's
as far
also
as like a
say
broker.
this too. Like, that just goes back to social media and business marketing 101. You brand yourself.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. There are legalities, and you
Yes.
have to represent your brokerage,
Yeah.
and you have to put them into your ad work. And yes, there are. You have to figure out what those parameters are. But you always,
There's so many people.
always build your
Yourself.
business,
Yes.
your business,
name,
yourself.
and your company name. There's so many people, even though we were attached to the old brokerage, that were like, I didn't even know who they were. But that's what you want.
Right. If you do it right.
If you do it right.
Which again is why we made the move, because we'd been doing that for so long. And yes, I'm not going to sit here and bash the former brokerage for our time that we had there. And I'm not going to bash them for the average agent. I'm not going to bash them for the new agent. I've said it over and over and over again. It gave you the foundation that you needed to grow into the business that you have today. And for that, I will always be thankful. I don't really like our exit, but I will say I will always be thankful for that portion of it, because...
And I will tell you that getting onto the exit, it wasn't company wide. It
No.
was really just one person that took it way more personal than she should have ever taken it. And that was really what made the exit
Right.
kind of nasty.
That's why I still to
And
this day...
we'll get into kind of that on the part 2. But yes, we had good time at our former broker. I was able to
Yes.
learn a lot. I was able to
Yes. Like, it wasn't...
grow a lot at that former broker.
People will ask me now too. I will say, in our area, if you're starting out and you don't know about real estate, and you don't want to come and learn from Joe or whatever, and you just want to figure it out, like I would still say, that is a great place to be, because it helped you in that arena. It helped you build that. So I don't have bad feelings towards our time there. I have bad feelings towards the exit. That's my bad feelings. But our time there, absolutely not. I felt like we were very taken care of. I felt like we were very supported. And I felt like you were given opportunities to grow. But yes, we moved because we were growing at a pace where it didn't make sense financially to continue using the same model that we had been using.
And the only way I can compare
previously.
it is I literally hit a glass ceiling and could not go any further without selling more houses. Well, I already sell a crap ton of houses. I don't want to have to sell more houses, even though I'm going to sell more houses because that's just my nature.
Well, and
But-
that was something that you said. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah.
In your exit,
Yeah.
you said, tell me how to make more money and not sell more houses. There were 139 contracts under the J Properties Group belt last year. How many of those were yours?
101.
101 of those 139 were Joe personally. So his question was, how do I sell more? How do I make more money without? And he's gone a lot. 24/7, honestly, because sometimes if he is with us, he's still looking at his phone. You can see on the video, he's still looking at his phone. He's still working deals. So he needed to make the most of his time. And that's honestly what it boiled down to. And I don't regret it one bit.
Yeah, I don't regret it. And that is what the real platform, the real broker
Yes.
platform is going to allow us to do, is going to be able to, number one, retain a lot more of the money that we make,
Out
that we
the
already
gates.
make. We're not having to give it to a big, corporate brokerage that has a lot of admin and pay, people on payroll. I'm able to retain that, and I'm able to put that money into through this our efforts with the the Western North Carolina
Yes.
donations and all. I have realized I love philanthropy. Like, I love to give to people. I love it. That fills my cup more than any commission check will, any home sale. I love to be able to help people with, their needs. And so being able to retain more money is going to be able to help us further those efforts to be able to help more people. And then there's also just different ways to make more money. There's different streams of revenue that we can make money. That way I don't have to go out and be gone 24/7. I'm able to retain more money that I'm already making. I'm already making that money. And so I'm able to just retain more of it. And so I just think that the move to real
Has been a good one.
Has been an amazing one, and I wish, hindsight is 2020, but I wish that we had made this move a year or two ago. We would have been so much further along and in. So that's 4 times in the last 2 minutes. My phone is ringing from 4 different people. I'm on a podcast, people. So don't they know this? But anyways, I would say, I wish, hindsight 2020, that we had made this move sooner, but I don't know that we would have been ready for it.
No.
So I'm always...
It was his timing, not our timing.
Yes.
And if we've learned
I'm a
anything...
huge proponent of, an advocate of, if you push something, or if you go somewhere prematurely, or if you do something prematurely, it's never going to work out right. However, once I pray and I talk to God about, is this the right thing to do, and I get that clear direction, it's done quick. And I will just,
whether I'm ready or not.
I just kind of tell everybody this is what we're doing, because Joe is still keeping up with business and selling and listing houses. And so fortunately, we have the most amazing team built around us that can take direction very well, pivots on a dime. When we made the announcement to our team, all of them unanimously, within a split second, said, we're going with you. I questioned were all of them going to go with us, and it was instantaneously, every one of them said, we're going.
And before we go, I would like to say, with Real, the beautiful thing for me in that regard is, in the past, when agents have left us, like I said, sometimes it's been an easy transition, sometimes it's been very hard. Because everyone has the right and opportunity to go and be a solo agent when they're ready. But the Real platform allows that to happen, and you still have that community collaborative space where they can go independent when they feel ready to leave our team, and they can go and they can spread their wings, and we still support them as well. And that was one of the most beautiful things for me. When I say collaborative, that's what I mean, collaborative. And before, we weren't able to give them that opportunity. So I think that's why a lot of them were like, yes, I'll go. Number one, it was better for them financially, but also it was better for them long term. Because being on a team, if we're being honest, for the most agents that want to do this full time, that's a temporary solution. The goal is for them to be able to go independent.
Some agents are built for a team.
Absolutely.
Some agents
Absolutely.
don't want to go solo.
Yes.
But then there are some agents that you are to grow them through being on the team to go on their own.
That's what I mean, like giving them that opportunity. Yes. We were not able to do that in our former model, and now we can, and that's one of the things we love the most is it's collaborative, and there's that piece there, knowing that we made the best choice not only for us, but they made the best choices for them too. And we're excited. We can't wait to see how this goes, and we're loving it.
The support has been unmatched.
Yes, yes.
The brokers from South Carolina and Georgia both have been on the phone with you on Saturday morning, Sunday afternoons.
Yes, I was afraid about that, because we did always have that before, but so far I
remember
haven't
one
missed
of the
a beat.
brokers calling you. I was in the car with you or something, and she was basically saying, this was on a Sunday afternoon, like 4. She said, I'm getting my list ready for tomorrow. You're first on the hit list. What can I help you with? Yeah. And that meant a lot to me. Yeah. That a broker would call you like that on the weekend and make sure our needs were met. Because what a lot of agents don't understand is, and I've talked to a lot of agents while we did this move or before we did this move, a lot of times it is just one agent licensed in one state. They try to go ahead and sell their listings or something, like they kind of have a clean start, nothing under contract, no listings, and then they make the move. Well, that was not the case with us and our team. So we have not only me, we have 8 agents that are licensed in 2 states. So that's double the work. Hope is like, that's 2 different MLSs. 2 different flex systems. And not only that, we had like 21 listings to change over in both states, plus
it was
like
a
26,
lot of fun.
Kind of like, and 26 new construction listings to move over in 2 states, 2 different brokers and all that. So it was a lot of changeover. And I'm here to tell you publicly that if Hope had not been in the background and making sure everything was changed over and everything was perfect, we would not be here today. We'd still be trying to change over everything if it were up to me. And so
I was trying to keep us in compliance. That's all.
But huge shout out to Hope.
I did not know that I was going to be doing that, but we did it, and it's fine. We move on. We've learned. And hey, if anyone wants to go in that direction with us,
Hope
I know how to do it now.
Down pat. So
I just need time to write it out now, but I remember it. It's still pretty fresh.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
Anyway.
So we couldn't be happier with our
Yes.
switch to Real Broker. If you're interested in making a move, just want more information about what is Real, I've never heard of it, or you've heard of it, and you're seeing all the big agents across the country moving to Real, reach out to me. I'd love to
Yes.
talk to you more about it. It is an amazing company with amazing leadership, amazing agents throughout the company, nationwide, that are very collaborative. Everyone has an open book of their tips and tricks and things that they know work in the real estate industry. And that is what we're here for, along with being able to retain more of the hard-earned money that we work for. So if you're interested in learning more about Real, reach out to me on this video. Call me, text me. My number's everywhere. I'm happy to talk to you about it. So that is going to wrap up this section of podcast. We're going to go into part 2 in just a minute.
Yes.